Hey, gang, and welcome to the second edition of It Just Doesn't Matter. And what I'm going to be talking about here in just a few minutes is about attempting to squash negativity and bullying on social media. Now, I'm probably going to be talking more in terms of YouTube because that's more what I'm familiar with. But keep in mind that you can apply these same principles to Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, whatever sorts of social media that you use. Hey, Blissful. And um, I'm not going to be giving, personal experiences. I'm just going to be talking in general about things that may help you along the way. If you're just starting out with a YouTube channel and you're, nervous about trolls, or you're nervous about being ridiculed for whatever content you're putting, or you're nervous about your appearance, or whatever. I'm going to talk about ways that we can deal with negativity and bullying that occurs in all areas of social media, unfortunately. And although we may not be able to completely eradicate these types of behaviors, but Rome wasn't built in a day. Just keep that in mind. I think that you and I and everybody else can create a change, and it doesn't have to be radical things. Um, so we're going to be talking about different ways that you can deal with this and prevent it from like taking over your life, taking over, what sort of creativity you're trying to put out there. We don't want it to squash your creativity. Okay. So um, that's what I'm planning to do um, about or do this stream on. Sorry if I seem a little sidetracked. I just finished my lunch very quickly and stuff like that. But I do have my It Just Doesn't Matter Empowerment and Positivity on YouTube shirt on. These will soon be available on the Deadites on Deck shop at deaditesondeck.com for $20. You can get yourself a shirt like this. If you want it in yellow, like I have, cool, order a yellow one. If you want pink or blue or whatever color you want, just keep in mind that if you want the sublimation process to come off looking like this, where it's smooth, you can't really feel the design, it looks like it's made into the shirt, stick with lighter colors. That's something that I've learned, I've been told, and all of that stuff um, about the sublimation process. Okay. So, what do we got coming up before I really dig deep and get into the matter at hand? So me and Candace will be continuing. It's going to be part 2 of our Hammer and Gothic horror show, and that's going to be on Friday Foolish. That's going to be this evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. So be sure to tune in for all of that coming up later this evening. I'm also planning on doing a pre-recorded Terror Time Tea talking about Argento's The Card Player. And no watch-alongs this weekend. And before I get started with this, I do want to give a shout out to Liz at Fright Rags for helping me with the incorrect shirt order that I got in. They have already, got me the correct one ready to ship out and send to me. Liz sent me a very nice email and made the whole process just as easy as pie. So hats off to Liz and hats off to Fright Rags for hiring such knowledgeable, competent, and friendly people. Yeah, it was real fast. That's why I had to get on here and say hats off to Liz, especially because she was the person at Fright Rags that I actually dealt with. So let's go ahead and get started with the matter at hand, which is let's try our best to squash negativity and bullying on social media, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. I know they call it X now, but I refuse to call it X. I continue to call it Twitter. Whatever social media platform that you are using to, connect with friends, sell products, advertise something that you're doing, or just a platform for you to share your point of view on things, right? Okay. So, first of all, let's talk about people being nervous about, creating a YouTube channel and actually putting themselves out there. Because I've had several people, I'm not like talking about hundreds of people. I'm not going to blow smoke up your butt about that. But there have been several people that have come to me behind the scenes. They have seen that, I've got a few videos and streams under my belt, and they say, "Hey, Dana, I'm thinking of starting my own YouTube channel, but I'm kind of nervous about it because, what exactly do I need, to be able to do these streams and videos?" That's one question I get asked. Another question is, they're nervous about how they're going to be perceived. Unless you're just completely cocky and ultra self-confident in your looks, and that's not very many of us folks. I've seen the most put together, gorgeous people be nervous and think that they don't look good on camera, okay? Or that they're going to come off sounding ridiculous when they talk about topics. And I try to give people a lot of encouragement in that department if they come to me and they ask, right? But the thing, the reality is that everybody's not going to be that nice. Everybody is not that nice. And unfortunately, some people live to cause pain to others. And does it make it right? No, it doesn't. Does it make it a reality? Yes, it does. And we're not, I've got the title Let's Squash Negativity and Bullying on Social Media. There is no way possible we're going to convert everybody, right? There's still going to be people out there. It's like, you can't tell me what to do. I'm going to do whatever. And if I don't like something somebody's doing, or I don't like how they look, I'm going to spout off about it. Okay. So we have to, first of all, come to the realization that we are not going to be able to convert all these people to play nice. But we can figure out ways to deal with these people and also to have fun on social media, right? Because that's the ultimate goal, right? Is to share common interest and to have fun. Okay, that's what I've always said that I wanted to do with my YouTube channel. At the top of the list is to have fun. Okay, so you may be thinking, well, how can I have fun when, for instance, there are trolls out there? And we all know what trolls are. We probably all experienced trolls in some area of social media. Even if we don't have a YouTube channel, you probably have dealt with trolls on Facebook or Twitter or maybe even TikTok, Instagram, all that. You put a picture out there on Instagram and somebody says, hey, you're ugly, or that's stupid, or, whatever. Just because they can. Because let me tell you, folks, that's what people do. They hide behind their computer, they hide behind the internet. Whereas things they necessarily wouldn't say to your face, if they saw you in public or they met you, they feel like it's their God-given right that if they want to spout off and talk about somebody's appearance, how they talk, what they're talking about, that they have a license to do that. And in a way, they do. We have freedom of speech, right? We live in the good US of A. Not all of us do, but there are a lot of us from the good old US of A, and we have something called freedom of speech. Okay, now freedom of speech doesn't necessarily mean that you can go out and or should go out and hurt people's feelings just on purpose and say, well, freedom of speech, but people do that, and they will hide behind, I have this God-given right that I have freedom of speech and I can say and do on the internet exactly whatever I want, right? Okay. Does it make it right? No. Is it a reality? Yes, it most certainly is. So, first of all, how do we handle trolls? Okay. There are several different ways we could handle it. But I'll tell you, folks, and it's something that was told to me. The best way you can handle trolls, let's say you're doing a stream and somebody comes into your chat and they start mouthing off, or they start saying bad things about you, or they start saying bad things about somebody that's your co-host on a stream. Guess what? You have a handy dandy way to nix that, and you don't have to say one word. Don't give them attention, because that is what trolls want, right? Okay. So, if you notice that somebody is mouthing off and saying things that they ought to be saying, you can simply go over to your chat. If you let your mouse hover over that person, 3 little dots will show up, right? If you click on those 3 little dots, and I'm not really going to ban Blissful and delete her comments, but you have the option to, 1, delete the comment, 2, put the user in timeout, or the one that I like to use because it takes care of everything at once is the third option, ban user and delete their comments. And I have become like Quick Draw McGraw. I've been just if I have to. And that's not bragging on myself. It's just like, if you want to make sure that you get these trolls, be quick. Don't say, well, I'm so and so, I'm getting rid of you. That gives them attention. And again, that's what they want. That is the objective. Just, you don't even have to stop your stream of thought. You can just go over to them in the chat, let your mouse hover over them, click the three dots, and make your selection, folks. Okay? It's that easy. I promise it's that easy. Now, this is not to say that that same person can't create 10 alternate accounts and keep coming back in here or into your stream and keep making, rude comments. Okay? Just don't even stop to give them a second thought. Just click on those three dots and make your selection and get rid of them. And they'll get tired of it after a while. Okay? It's amusing at first, and if you give them attention, they're just going to keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. Because why? Because it gets them attention, and they like attention. That's what trolls crave. They crave attention. Well, I don't like it, Blissful, but I guess there's really no way for YouTube to stop that, the multiple accounts thing. It does seem sort of silly and childish to me, but they're going to do whatever they're going to do. So my objective has been to, one, ignore them, two, to block every account that they create. And you may have multiple people creating multiple accounts. It's okay. You can still do the same thing that I just told you about, right? Okay, so the great thing about blocking them means that under that account name, not only can they can look at your streams, they can watch your videos on the replay, but they can no longer make comments in the chat under that username, nor can they make comments under your videos with that username. Okay? So I've had pre-recorded videos where people have come on there and said asinine things, and I did the same thing. I have, blocked them and deleted their comments. So again, they can't come in my streams and they can't make chat comments under that user account, nor can they make any more comments under my videos using that user account. Now, can they create another one and start all back over again? Yes, they can, unfortunately. And, I guess YouTube's answer to that, if we asked, well, why don't you do something about it? Really, what can they do? People get one account blocked and they still want to play games. They're going to go and create another account. Also, I used to wonder why you couldn't just block them from seeing your videos or even coming into your streams and watching them, right? But Steve was talking to me one day and he said, well, they can just create another account and come in under that and subscribe to you or whatever. I was like, well, yeah, that makes sense. So, there are people, and I'm not going to mention who because I'm just talking in generalities. There have been people that I have blocked on my YouTube that are still subscribed to me, but I can't unsubscribe them. I think back in the day you could unsubscribe them, but again, what's to keep them from creating another account and coming in and subscribing to you? So, that makes a whole lot of sense when it was told to me. Okay, so that's how to deal with trolls. To me, that's the best way to deal with trolls, right? Because they're called trolls because they're trolling for attention, right? And they're willing to do anything they can to get attention. So we don't give them attention, right? We don't feed into that. Don't add fuel to their fire. Okay. And the fire will eventually die out. Okay. They will lose interest and they will move on. Okay. So, so here's something else. If somebody goes out publicly and says something really ugly and nasty about you or your appearance or your channel or even your Facebook page or your Twitter page or your Instagram, yeah, so and so's Instagram's full of the most ugly people I've ever seen. They disgust me. Or, somebody talks about your political views or something like that. I'm not going to go into deep details because some of this stuff is sensitive subjects with people, right? Religion, politics and religion are really two sensitive subjects. And people have unfriended people because they didn't believe the same politically, they didn't believe the same religiously as this one person did. So, it happens. It happens. I've even seen people make declarations that if you don't agree with such and such, or you don't like my political views, you don't like my religious views, unfriend me now. Folks, you don't have to make declarations like that. Just let things be. And if somebody, doesn't like what you're talking about, they will do you the favor and they will unfriend you. It happens all the time. You don't need to make these extreme public declarations about it. You're only drawing attention to yourself, and it's negative attention that you're drawing to yourself. It's not positive. Thank you, Blissful. Blissful says, please hit the thumbs up. Thank you. And I appreciate you, as always, Blissful, for saying that. So, okay, back to the main topic that I was talking about is, let's say somebody wants to go publicly and they want to talk about how you look, how you're dressed, even what your political or religious affiliation is. And they want to get downright nasty and personal, right? Or they want to spread misinformation about you, right? Your first instinct is to go public too, right? And try to say, I'm not like this. That's misinformation that person X is saying about me. Don't believe it. Okay. Yes, that's human nature to want to do that. It's also human nature with some people, like I used to be this way, to publicly apologize for things. Don't do those things, people. Do not. Don't try to publicly apologize. Don't try to publicly say that what this person is saying is completely wrong about you. Okay? Don't fight it. You know what the best thing you can do is ignore it. Just like the trolls, ignore it. Because if you engage, trust me on this, folks, trust me, it will make it worse. How do I know this? I personally know about this. Okay? I'm just going to leave it there. I personally know about this. Do not engage. Do not. Don't try to prove your innocence. Don't apologize. Starve it. Okay? Starve it. That's the key. And it will eventually fade. And most people will eventually forget that it ever happened. As bad as it may seem at the time that it's happening, it will fade. Okay? You know, you don't feed the beast, right? Because if you feed the beast, what's going to happen? The beast is going to get stronger, it's going to get bigger, and it's going to consume you. Okay? If you starve the beast, it's going to slink back into its hideout and it's going to die. Okay? Because why? Because you're starving it. You're not giving it any food. You're not giving it any fuel. Okay? So we've talked about trolls. We've talked about what if somebody publicly outs you or talks badly about you, tries to make you look like an awful person, makes fun of you. As hard as that may be to do, the best thing you can do is ignore it, to starve the beast. Okay? That gives me another idea for a shirt, as ridiculous as that may sound, is starve the beast. Right? So what else can we do? Okay. Don't get into verbal battles, whether through social media, privately, with any and all people that may be saying bad things about you or trying to paint a picture of you that is incorrect, that are trying to spread misinformation about you, trying to get people to not like you, to hate you, in fact, right? So don't get into verbal arguments. And verbal arguments, I mean, don't call these people. Don't create videos going back and forth with the person or persons. Okay? Don't text them or anybody associated with them. Okay? Because why? Again, you're feeding the beast. You're feeding the beast. And I know everybody's first instinct is to defend themselves. And if somebody runs up to you on the street and starts beating the crap out of you, I'm not going to tell you to starve the beast, right? I would say to defend yourself then. But what we're talking about here is online tussles, okay? There's not somebody running up on you, threatening to beat the crap out of you. There's not somebody coming up to you and hitting you in the face, punching you in the gut, kicking you in the balls, whatever, okay? These are words, back and forth. And what do you not want to do is you don't want to get embroiled in verbal warfare. You just don't. Yeah, well, it is true that you can't argue with crazy. And I'm not calling anybody crazy, but some thoughts are crazy. Okay? I've always said you can hate what someone does or says without hating the person. Okay? And that's what I try my best to do. I don't want to hate the person, but I hate what they've done or hate what they've said, right? Or what they said is crazy. Okay? Instead of, and I'm not saying you say anything wrong, Blissful. I attempt to not call the person or persons that are doing this to me crazy, but their actions, their words are crazy. It's insane, right? And we've all been there. We've all done that. Well, this is just insane. And you could rack your brain and go over in your head about why someone would want to do these things to you. And I'm sure they have their own, in their head, they have their own reasons for doing so. Some of it may be pure maliciousness. Some of it may be a misconception that they have about the person they're talking about. Someone may have been told something about this person by someone else. I mean, anything is possible, okay? But the main thing is to starve the beast. Do not engage. And it took me a lot of years to learn this, folks. I didn't wake up one day after something like this happened and had an epiphany that I've got to starve the beast. This was over years of on and off dealing with things like this in one way or the other. So it doesn't happen overnight. And I'm not expecting you guys and gals that are watching this right now or that watch it on the replay to wake up and have that epiphany. It takes time. Human nature is, if person X hurts me, if they say something bad about me, I'm going to retaliate in kind. Right? That's our first instinct. But you need to retrain yourself to starve the beast. And again, it's not going to happen tomorrow. And it probably won't happen the next day or the day after that or a week from now or possibly even a month or 6 months from now. But it will happen. You just got to retrain your thought process. You've got to retrain yourself to have different reactions to what someone else does. Okay? We also have to come to the conclusion that not every interaction we have on social media is going to be positive. I would like to say that that would be possible, but human beings are complicated. Okay? Human beings the world over are complicated. And like I said at the beginning, you're not going to convert everybody to playing nice in real life or on the internet. Okay? And we would be sorely disappointed if we thought that that was going to happen. But we can learn how to deal with things. Okay? And make our personal experiences on social media better because we know how to deal with these things that could and probably will happen at some point in time. Right? So I was trying to think if there was any other main points that I wanted to bring up. Okay, here's one. Now, I've said, over and over and over during the last few minutes about starving the beast. Don't engage. Don't contact the person or persons that is causing you this grief, right? Okay, let's talk about if it goes further than mere words. Let's say it goes into the realm of physical threats. Or, I don't like to bring this up, but we all know that the possibility is out there. Some people, and I don't mean this a bad way because I'm like this, okay? Some people's mental state is not as strong as some other people's, right? Sometimes people are good at putting up a good front and acting like things aren't bothering them and they're crying in private. They're in pain in private. They're tortured in private. Okay? Can we make these people stop being mean that are causing this anguish on others? No, I'm sorry. We can't. Who are we? We can't do that. But first of all, I would like to implore everybody that watches this. Keep that in mind the next time you're even got an inkling that you want to say something about somebody's appearance or how they talk or what kind of topics that they're covering or talking about. Because as much as some people might like you to believe otherwise. Words do hurt. They hurt down deep and at some points. I've had things hurt me where it felt like somebody was just stabbing me in the heart, metaphorically, but stabbing me in the heart. It went so deep. And I was in pain and I was in mental anguish. But you add another layer to that. Someone that is suffering or has suffered for years with depression. People can say, well, there's medication for that. Yeah, there is. But medication doesn't cover everything, folks. And sometimes there's such a deep-seated depression, anxiety, stress that some people mentally cannot take one more thing. And so I'm not going to go into details about this, but we all know what I'm talking about. What does that lead to when someone thinks that there's no way out, there's no relief? They get bad thoughts in their head. Okay? We don't want people to do that. If you are feeling that way, there are places that you can call. You can talk to somebody. If you don't want to call, you get on the suicide prevention website. In fact, guys and gals, I am going to give y'all the website, okay? Just okay, so now I was trying to find the actual, yeah, here's, all right. So there is something called the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, okay? And I am going to put that in the chat for you guys and gals, right? And there may be another one if you don't want to. There's another one that I want to put out here. The Suicide Prevention Resource Center. Okay. And guys and gals, the first one I put up there, you guys don't have to call if you feel uncomfortable with calling. Let me share something with you guys and gals. I'm going to get personal here a little bit. You know, years ago, I was feeling really low. And guys and gals also, it doesn't tell, can't even talk. When someone is that low, your first instinct is to say, don't you care about your family? Why do you want to do this? When someone gets so low, they're beyond listening to that kind of stuff from a friend or family member. They need to talk to someone who is neutral, right? That means somebody outside of the family, somebody outside of your friend group. Okay? That's why these groups exist out there. Okay? So I was feeling really low and was thinking these bad thoughts that I was, referring to a little bit earlier. And I didn't want to call. People might say, well, that's a ridiculous thing. Why didn't you just call? But I didn't want to call. So I ended up chatting with someone online. You can do that, folks. You can chat, you can call, you can text even. And there will be someone there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week that will talk to you. Okay? And they will not get off of the chat or the phone or the text with you until they are sure that you are not going to go forward with anything drastic. Okay? So I just wanted to put those two things out there because because of bullying, harassment, negative stuff being put out about you that's untrue, okay? You feel like everybody hates you because of this. There is help. There is help. And there are other sources besides the ones that I put up there. If you are feeling this way, please reach out to one of these groups and talk to someone. Whether it's through a phone call, a chat, a text, it does not matter. Like I said, there will be someone there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week that is willing to talk to you. And usually these people are volunteers, folks. They do this because they want to. They're not doing this because this is their job. They are doing this because they really want to help people. Okay. So let's talk about the other part of this. Okay. And that's the part where you feel like you are receiving threats that could lead to possible bodily harm on your person by these people or people that this person or group has recruited. Okay. Because the danger that happens sometimes that becomes the mob mentality, unfortunately, is when one person or maybe 3 or 4 people publicly get people riled up against a person or maybe a couple of people. And when you do things like that, I know people get angry about certain things and they get power from that mob mentality. But this is where it can be dangerous. If you put out this message that you really don't like a certain person or a couple of people, right? And you may think these are idle threats, that nobody will act on them. But just the same way I was talking about people's mental health with depression and anxiety and all of that, some people have other issues going on. I mean, they could be schizophrenic. They could be, have some kind of psychosis. Okay. And if in their mind, if they hear someone say, well, we're going to send people after you or something, they get in their head because they're not well. Okay. They get in their head, oh, they mean for me to actually go and take this person out. And what happens if they act on that? That could be really, really, really bad. Extremely bad. Okay. So if you think, and don't say, well, I don't want to bother law enforcement because they'll get mad if yada, yada, yada. Take the hit, people. If you feel like you are being threatened with possible bodily harm, gather as much evidence as you can and contact your local law enforcement. Please, I beg of you. Don't make false claims. I'm not telling you to do that. But if someone is putting some kind of information out there and it's like they're inciting a riot or they're creating a mob mentality and you feel unsafe, please contact your local law enforcement. Have all your evidence ready and let them take it from there. Okay? Don't try to do anything on your own. Don't try to reach out to these persons. Um, don't try to reach out to anybody that's connected with them. Simply, if you feel unsafe, please contact local law enforcement. Okay? So, the safety thing was one of the last things I wanted to talk about. That your personal safety um, is of the utmost importance. The personal safety of those around you is of the utmost importance as well. Okay, and so I've talked for about 45 minutes on a few topics um, that go along with the squashing negativity and bullying on social media. So if anybody in here, it looks like we got about 8 people in here right now. It looks like only Blissful was chatting, and that's okay. I'm not asking people to come in here and chat. But if anybody has any questions they would like to ask me before I get off of here for now, and then me and Candace will be back on at 6 p.m. Eastern Time for Friday Foolish, talking about Hammer and Gothic horror once again. So I'll give you a couple of minutes. If anybody has any questions they want to ask me, I will try to answer them to the best of my ability, or at least direct you to someone that I think could help you out there. Okay. So if we don't have anybody, ask any questions or anything in a couple of minutes, I will probably call it a day and get off of here for the time being. But I do want to say I thank the 7, 8 people that were in here. I want to thank Blissful for coming in here and keeping the chat active. I appreciate all of y'all for coming in here. Even if you weren't active in the chat, for coming in here and listening to me give some pointers, because that's all I really can do. I'm not an expert in this. All I can give you is my own interpretations of things. Blissful, you say, awesome live, Dana. We need more positive vibes on YouTube. Well, thank you, Blissful. We need more positive vibes on the internet in general, but I wanted to pinpoint, YouTube mainly because that's where I'm most active. I'm not as active. I'm kind of active on Facebook, but not as much as I used to be. And I'm hardly active on Twitter. I've never been active on TikTok. I'm rarely active on Instagram or anything like that. But I have been on YouTube for a few years. So not as long as some people have, but, long enough where I know the lay of the land a little bit. But I do agree with you. We do need more positive vibes on YouTube. And in fact, in the internet as a whole. So don't forget that I'm soon going to be putting these designs up on the Deadites on Deck site or shop at deaditesondeck.com. If you want this to really pop and stand out, I suggest you pick a light color like this yellow or a light pink or a light blue or something like that for the design to really, look like it's made into the shirt, right? So it doesn't look like anybody's asking any questions. I hope the people that weren't able to join me live will watch this on the replay. But I'm off like a dirty shirt for now. I will return with Candace at 6 p.m. Eastern Time for Friday Foolish, talking about Hammer and Gothic horror. But before I get off of here, I want to remind everybody, as I always do, to be kind to one another. And this is extremely relevant for this stream. Be kind to one another and blaze that trail. We're heading into the weekend, folks. Have a beautiful and wonderful day. As Blissful said, have a beautiful day, everyone. And I'll see everybody next time. Bye for now.